So the situation in Miami just got a whole lot worse recently. Jimmy Butler has now been suspended from the Miami Heat for 7 games. As we can see here, it's been tweeted by ESPN, it's been tweeted by Shams, and pretty much every other reporter on Twitter, which is just absolutely insane to me. And I think Jimmy Butler's team or people associated with Jimmy Butler have like filed a complaint for the fact that he's got suspended for 7 games. And we can check out the Miami Heat Twitter here because they've tweeted out some pretty insane stuff over the past week or so, because this was, a couple days ago. This was January 3rd, right? This was yesterday as I'm recording the video. You can see Miami Heat statement on Jimmy Butler. We have suspended Jimmy Butler for 7 games for multiple instances of conduct detrimental to the team over the course of the season, and particularly the last several weeks. So they're basically saying that, he's been a detrimental to the team because of the comments he said, and just also because of the way he's been playing. But I find that a little bit weird that you can just suspend a player on your team because they're not trying or because they're not, saying nice things about you in the post-conference presser. I'm not really sure how to feel about this. I'm not really sure if it's right as an NBA team to do. But the most interesting thing to me is that tweet, or I guess reply to their tweet from the Miami Heat, at the bottom here, saying, through his actions and statements, he has shown he no longer wants to be part of this team. Jimmy Butler and his representative have indicated that they wish to be traded. Therefore, we will listen to offers. But if you scroll down on the Miami Heat Twitter page to December 26th, you can see there is a tweet from the Miami Heat, a statement from Pat Riley saying, we usually don't comment on rumors, but all this speculation has become a distraction to the team, and it is not fair to the players and coaches. Therefore, we will make it clear we are not trading Jimmy Butler. To then go back to the tweet we just read, saying that, with Jimmy Butler's actions and comments about this team, he no longer wants to be a part of this team, that now they're open to willing to, they're actually listening to offers and are actively looking to trade Jimmy Butler. So it's not like before where it was speculation and it was rumor. Is Jimmy Butler going to get traded? Now, he's going to get traded because he's not going to play for this team. But I do want to check out this interview. That was, I think, a couple days ago. Yeah, January 2nd. After one of the Miami Heat's games, and just take a listen in here to see what Jimmy Butler has to say, because it kind of was a little bit of a bizarre interview, I guess, response from Jimmy Butler. But let's see here what he does have to say.
And I don't shoot the ball a lot, but we won't sit here and say that I don't play hard.
What will fix it? What do you want to see happen to fix it?
What do I want to see happen? I want to see me get my joy back from playing basketball. And wherever that may be, we'll find out here pretty soon. But I want to get my joy back. I'm happy here, off the court. But I want to be back to somewhat dominant. I want to hoop. And I want to help this team win. Right now, I'm not doing that.
Can you get your joy back here on the court?
Probably not.
Okay, so that is absolutely crazy to me, that last kind of thing he said there. The reporter asked him, do you think you can get your joy back, playing basketball for the Miami Heat, is basically what he's asking. Jimmy Butler goes, probably not, after what he just said. I mean, it is clear that Jimmy Butler wants out of Miami. Miami wants to trade him, and it is just a whole ordeal now. It is ridiculous, because it seemed like just a couple months ago, before the season started, Jimmy Butler seemed happy to be in Miami, happy to be playing for this team, and they had a real chance to keep contending in that Eastern Conference. But over the past couple weeks, in this last week or so, it has been absolutely insane news regarding Jimmy Butler. And the thing about Jimmy Butler is he's still a really good NBA player. He had a really bad stretch and a really bad start to this season, but recently Jimmy Butler has picked it up and has looked like an all-star caliber player. Maybe not overall in his season, because we look at his stats, he's only averaging 17.5 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 5 assists per game, but his three-point percentage was all the way below 20% to start the season. Now he's up to a really respectable mark for Jimmy Butler at 37.5%. He's got a really good true shooting percentage at almost 65%, because his field goal is also at 55%. So across the board, Jimmy Butler's looked a lot more efficient, and he's looked a lot better, even though he's maybe not been as energized or as passionate about this team as he once was. He's still playing really good basketball. And I want to talk about some trades, that could be happening for Jimmy Butler, like the trade destinations, where Jimmy Butler should go if you're Jimmy, what teams can potentially get Jimmy Butler and would benefit from him the most, but mainly talking about what would be the best fit for Jimmy Butler and what trade packages we potentially could see. So the first team I do want to talk about here for trade destinations for Jimmy Butler would be the Dallas Mavericks, because it's probably been one of the more speculated ones. And also earlier last year, I guess I should say now because we are in 2025, Jimmy Butler did state that he'd be open to playing and wanting to play for the Dallas Mavericks as one of a couple teams. It was like the Houston Rockets, Dallas Mavericks, and Golden State Warriors. But talking about the Dallas Mavericks, the thing about them is they have some okay assets, but they really don't have the cap space to be able to keep up with Jimmy Butler's contract, because Jimmy's making, $48.7 million a year. That's his contract right now. So if you look at the Dallas Mavericks team, guys who are making anywhere near that, is you'd have to go to like Daniel Gafford, which I just don't think I don't think the Mavs would want to trade unless they're doing a 3-team trade and potentially getting another center back. You could send Gafford potentially, but then it's also just not going to make the money up. You'd probably have to send Maxi Kleba as well. Then you're still $24 million short. And then you would also need to throw in some like actual decent assets to get Jimmy Butler, because Jimmy Butler's obviously an all-star caliber player and can really help your team out. So you'd have to probably throw in Omax because, he has some definitely potential. You might have to throw in like Jaden Hardy because he's got some potential as well. But then once again, you're still looking at, $18 million short to going out and getting Jimmy Butler, at least contracts wise. Now they do have a couple picks they could throw. They have their pick this year, and then they do have 2 more first round picks later, 2026 and 2031. But the Dallas Mavericks, I think, would be a good destination for Jimmy Butler. I think he'd be very helpful as a point of attack defender for this Dallas Mavericks squad, and him playing alongside Luka and Kyrie would take away any sort of playmaking and scoring, asked from the Miami Heat that I think that Jimmy Butler doesn't really like. I don't think Jimmy Butler is a huge fan of having to be that number one option every single time down the floor on offense, having to create for everybody, having to score the ball every single possession for the Miami Heat to win. I think he would really benefit and really enjoy playing alongside guys like Luka Doncic and Kyrie, and even Klay Thompson, who can space the floor for Jimmy Butler. So I think it'd be a really good trade destination for the Dallas Mavericks. It'd be really good for Jimmy Butler, and I think it'd be a really good fit and would make this Dallas Mavericks team a real title favorite in the Western Conference. But the thing is, it's just the contracts don't match up. So for me, I think it's going to be a little bit hard to see him going to Dallas, but I do think it would be a good spot for Jimmy. Now, the other one a lot of people talk about is the Golden State Warriors. And the more that I'm looking at all these contracts with these teams, I'm starting to believe that it might actually have to be a 3-team trade for any sort of these contracts to work. But talking about the Golden State Warriors, what they would have to send to get Jimmy Butler, again, contracts-wise, it's not going to really make the most of sense unless you're throwing a guy like Andrew Wiggins, who I think they would have to obviously max contracts. So, for example, we'll send Andrew Wiggins, and then I think it's also going to have to be Jonathan Kuminga. Once again, you're still $15 million short, so where is that going to come from? I mean, you're not trading Dennis Schroeder. You just got him in a really good trade for you, right? I mean, you could send like a Kyle Anderson or a Buddy Hield or a Gary Payton, but again, it's still just not going to make up the contract. So I think these are the 2 players that's definitely going to have to center around. I think it's going to have to center around Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga to go get Jimmy Butler. And then picks-wise, they do have quite a bit of first-round picks. So they'll have the draft capital. They have the assets to go get Jimmy. Once again, it's just going to be a little bit of an issue with the contracts. But again, I think this Warriors team would really benefit from a guy in Jimmy Butler to put alongside Curry, Draymond, and I guess like Pods and Buddy Hield and Trace Jackson Jr. They don't really have too much star talent, so I think it would really help this Warriors team to have a number 2 option, like a solidified number 2 guy. They would be losing Jonathan Kuminga, who's looked a lot better recently, and I think is a really good young player, but I think it would be a good trade for this Golden State Warriors team to try to contend and try to compete with the last couple of really good years of Steph Curry. But again, not really sure if it's going to make sense contracts-wise. And then the Rockets as well. They're a team that has a lot of assets, but once again, they don't really have the money to make this work. It would have to be Dillon Brooks for the contract for sure, and he's not a horrible asset as well. He's pretty good in the NBA. And then it'd have to feature guys like probably Cam Whitmore potentially would have to be in this trade. Maybe Jabari Smith Jr. potentially. I could see something like that as the 3 players they work around. Once again, if you're going for Jimmy Butler, you're still going to be about $15 million short. Again, contracts-wise, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but I think the Rockets would be another good trade destination to take them over the hump, because I feel like they're really missing that superstar, all-star caliber player in the all-star, or in the NBA playoffs, I should say. a guy they can really rely on with that finals experience, with that playoff experience that Jimmy Butler does bring. And then I think the last realistic team he could potentially go to is the Phoenix Suns, because now they're the one team that actually do have the contracts to really match up. They would actually have more money than for Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's making 48.7. Bradley Beal's contract is $50 million a year. So this one would actually work out salary-wise, but they just don't have a lot of first-round picks. I mean, they have this one, and then they also have one in 2031. So you definitely have to throw that pick for sure. And then they don't really have too many other assets on this team. Like Ryan Dunn's a solid rookie, but they probably don't want to give up on him already. So I think, I would definitely send Bradley Beal to the Miami Heat if you can, if you're the Phoenix Suns. And I'm not really sure how the fit would be with Jimmy Butler, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant, but it definitely could be something I could see happening. And I would say those are the 4 teams that I think Jimmy Butler should potentially go to. But let me know in the comment section down below. First off, what do you guys think about this crazy and just insane news, about Jimmy Butler, him getting suspended for 7 games? Let me know all that type of stuff down below, and where you guys want Jimmy Butler to end up. What team do you guys think he could go to? Let me know that type of stuff down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.